You're listening to the Kitchen Confession Podcast with Chef Mary Mammoliti.
Hi, I'm Mary Mammoliti, and you're listening to the Kitchen Confession Podcast. If you haven't had a chance yet, pop over to kitchenconfession.com and check out my latest recipe, Tuscan chicken, white bean, and kale soup. All right, it's time for Sound Bites with producer Matt Agnew. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Mary, how's it going?
It's great. How's it going?
Doing good.
What are we chatting and talking about today?
Well, first up, we got a new study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. They're looking into whether or not, what time of day is best to exercise, where you get kind of the most bang for your buck. And particularly men should be looking to burn fat before breakfast. Because after fasting, your body has lower stores of carbs to rely on, so it really quickly turns over to relying on the fat stores. So they found that men in particular can burn up to 2 times more fat by exercising just before breakfast.
You know, honestly, I think men I'm sorry I'm generalizing, but a lot of you guys can burn fat just walking up a flight of stairs.
You know, I think it kind of depends on age as well here. The study didn't look particularly at any age categories. It was 30 overweight men, it said. So I don't know if age has much to do with it, although I have found after clearing my mid-20s, it's definitely getting harder. I don't know if that quite applies to me so much anymore.
Oh my God, you're talking about mid-20s. Wait till you reach 40, my friend. Wait, it becomes non-existent, your metabolism. You're actually going to send out an APB out on it, trying to find out where it went, who took it, and
how to get it back.
And how to get it back. And if you figure that out before I do, let me know.
I will let you know. Well, it does look like exercising early has other health benefits, including the fact that the men also had better insulin response once they ate later in the day. So it would kind of help regulate their blood sugar, and it definitely led to reduced risk of heart disease and diabetes as well.
Are you an early bird?
Okay, you know what? I would consider myself a morning person, not because I get up early. Like, I am definitely not up with the crack of dawn. Usually I'm up with the dog's nose in my face. I'm like, come on, get out of bed, take me for a walk. However, I think I'm most productive in the morning. So I try and structure my morning so that I can get that walk in with the dog. I'm not exactly pumping iron at 8 a.m, but
right.
I'm more active in the morning. I'll get more work done. I'll get more chores done. That kind of thing. What about you?
I'm the same way. So I get a lot more done first thing in the morning. I am an early bird. I'm an early riser, very early. And I just feel like I used to work out, I think like at 7 a.m. And I still do from time to time get up really early and do the first thing I do is a workout or some type of movement. I'm probably going to call myself out right now. I haven't lately, but I noticed a difference. So I noticed when I do that early morning workout, and it doesn't have to be, like you said, something that where you're lifting hundreds of pounds or, you're running for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. It's just got to be some type of movement, some type of exercise. And I noticed that my level of concentration increases throughout the day. I've got clarity.
Yeah, it just kind of gets everything moving, right? You just kind of stretch yourself out and just kind of get your digestion working and your brain cranking a little bit there.
Okay, so according to this best time to exercise study, best time is first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning before you eat breakfast.
Okay, I can work with that because I've done it, and I do love that. What do we have next?
Up next, this one was really interesting. The online publication Insider spoke with some coffee shop employees about their biggest customer pet peeves, and there was some pretty shocking stuff in this article. Number one was the whiners. The people who walk up, they're going to Starbucks, they're going to or whatever high-end coffee shop in their neighborhood, and they know, come on, they know it's high-end, right? You're not just, if you're not going to Tim's, you got nothing to complain about, really. And they'll complain about the high-end drink prices to the barista who's making them. Isn't that just
But you're
insane?
walking into the establishment. You know this when you're going in. They're not shy about publicizing their menus. So
And
it's
and
up there.
let's be honest, these are also the people who are they have a drink order that's like half a page long, right? It's got to be low fat, soy latte,
Skinny.
mocha, skinny, half pump of vanilla, like they're making complicated orders and then they're whining about the prices to the person making it. I think that's just a little bit like
Okay,
where's your
this one?
self-awareness on that, right?
Exactly. This article here is one of my favorites. I have to admit because I'm dying to hear more.
Well,
So
and
we've got the
it's so
whiners.
fun too because coffee shops are where everyone goes to people watch too, and there's just always so much weird things that happen in a Starbucks or something like that. You just your ears start burning when you hear that guy walking up to the bar. So the second one that baristas described as their least favorite customers were the campers, people who would order one
Yes.
coffee and then set up their personal office all day. Do you ever work in coffee shops? Like, do you find that's like a conducive place to get stuff done?
I've done it and I don't overstay my welcome because in the end, you have to understand this is someone's livelihood. This is their business. This is their place of business. So they're there to make money.
That's right.
The same way
How
you
long?
are.
Like, what's the max?
That I've stayed at a coffee shop
Well, that you should stay.
that you should stay.
Do you think like 2
I-
hours is that would that be overstaying your welcome? Do you think?
I think over an hour is overstaying your welcome because you're if you're not ordering. So this is the difference. If you're there and you order one coffee and you babysit that coffee for an hour, and
Right.
then you go back and you order, one of those small scones, and you're there for another hour and a half. That's not helping anyone. That's not helping the business owner.
Sure, yeah. So this is
especially-
one of the things that the baristas mentioned is they don't mind you working and camping out all day, but don't nurse that one coffee from like 9 o'clock all the way through your workday. You
Absolutely.
keep getting up and ordering more snacks and more coffees and that kind of thing, and not
Precisely.
to expect every coffee refill. Like sometimes if it's just a coffee instead of a mocha latte, whatever, they might be nice and give you a little top off, but don't always expect those to be free.
And that's the thing. Nothing in life is free anymore. That left years and years and years ago. No one knows what free is anymore, because the cost of living is so high.
Sure.
So the same way that barista, that business owner, that establishment, they have to pay their bills, the same way you do. So by you sitting there and using their business as your office, free, remember I said free doesn't exist anymore, for free, there are a whole bunch of other workspaces where you can have a communal office where you share these workspaces.
Or
you can go in-
commercial workspaces where you go and you pay whatever for the day, and
That's exactly it.
you can bring your laptop, and they got great amenities there for you to use. But the other thing that coffee shop owners mentioned in this article was not to, it's one thing to come in and like get out your laptop and type away doing emails or something like that, but not to spread out over multiple spots and tables with your different work files and your spreading
That
out your
one's my
glasses and your
favorite.
chargers and your this and your that. Don't spread out like the whole place is there for your office
That's
space.
my favorite. And it happens a lot. It actually happened to me. I went to a cafe. I'm not going to mention the name. And it wasn't one of those chain places. This was, you're a mom and pop kind of, a small business owner. And they have those long communal tables.
Right.
The wood tables, you sit down and everyone kind of sits and you do your thing and that's it. This person spread out, no joke, took 3/4 of this table, a table that sat more than 8.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah,
took
that's
3/4.
egregious. Like.
So I went with my little laptop. I had my coffee. I was actually waiting for someone. And there were 2 seats at the end of the table. And I sat myself down, took on my laptop. He looked over at me and he said, "I need that space." I didn't know who he was at first. I thought maybe he was the owner.
Nah, that's too much. Now, do you think that some coffee shops kind of encourage this sort of thing by offering, free Wi-Fi and plugs for your phone and all that kind of stuff? Like, if it was just a coffee shop with a table for you to enjoy your beverage at. I feel like maybe most people wouldn't be able to set up shop.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you, because in that case, like you said, you'd go to Tim Hortons where you know you're in and out.
Right, yeah. You know you're going to be there for like 30 minutes. You drink your coffee, you eat your sandwich, off you go.
Exactly. So I think if you are, and I agree with you, if you are setting this up and you are offering Wi-Fi and you are offering an environment where people will get comfy in those chairs.
Yeah.
Get a couple of uncomfortable chairs. They won't stay long.
Right.
So even if you offer the Wi-Fi, get one of those tiny chairs where your butt's hanging off of each side. And believe me.
or with the Wi-Fi,
if
if you just made it super slow, people wouldn't be working out of their office there all day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, finishing up this one, a couple last ones here. Some really outrageous people think that it's okay to grab money from the tip jar to top up their pocket change if they don't have enough to cover the cost of their coffee in cash, which is, I think, bizarre, because who doesn't carry plastic? Just tap and go. And
they help themselves to it.
Oh yeah, they'll just if you got if you got $2.30, they'll reach in and grab whatever they need to top themselves up to $3 or whatever the cost of their coffee is.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Did
which
you
is
hear that
just
noise? That
so
was my
rude.
job.
Like, instead of giving a tip, you're taking from the baristas who've been working hard all day. So, and finally, the dumpers, people who feel they need a bit more room for their cream and sugar, draining hot coffee off into the plastic garbage bags. Baristas said that often it melts through the bag and it leaves a terrible mess for them to be cleaning up after you leave.
Oh wow.
I'll be honest, I think I have been guilty of that in the past. But there's nothing else to do, like sometimes they really overfill your cup and
well, they used to have, a lot of places used to have, and I don't know if you noticed it, it's like a grate that you would place your coffee cup on top of.
Sure, like a little drip tray, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great idea, but yeah, not everyone's got that. So I do try and be aware, though, that you're not pouring it directly into like the bottom of a new bag, because that's definitely going to melt through if you got like fresh hot coffee.
And truly, I don't know why I made that. Oh wow! Like I was shocked, because I am guilty of doing it as well. It's just, I think I'm shocked that people have caught on. That it's probably me. They're gonna have a sign of my face with a line through it. Don't allow her in here.
Don't be the reason for the rule, eh?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Pot infused drinks
Wow.
are coming to shelves here in Canada now that edibles are finally legal as of this October. I don't know if I'm sure you remember Mitchell Stern of Station Cold Brew, who was on earlier last year.
Yes.
He's also a beverage industry aficionado, and he told us to watch out for this trend of pot-infused drinks. He thought it was going to be a really big hit. That's episode number 22, if you guys want to go check out that conversation. But now CP24 is reporting that a collaboration between beer giant Molson Coors and Trust Beverage Co. is bringing CBD-based spring water drinks and THC-based beverages to Canadian shelves this December. That's right. That's the psychotropic compound.
Okay, so here's where I have a problem with this. I guess you can probably say that liquor does the same thing. So alcohol is mind-altering.
For sure.
And you can get that everywhere. So, but I don't know. I guess I'm still with that THC. I'm still linking it to something that we shouldn't do.
It's up to you, right? It's your choice. You don't have to have it if you don't want. But I mean, I think we've arrived at a point as a country, in making pot legal that, alcohol is recreational, and it does have its risks and its harms, as does THC products. So, I mean, it's relatively low impact, I guess you could say, and it really comes down to responsible consuming. Though it is a pretty new thing that kind of comes along with a taboo. So I'm sure you're definitely going to see a lot of people with that sort of attitude towards it going forward. But these products are finally available. I think the important thing, though, about it, that it's commercially available, and this is something that Mitchell touched on in that episode, was that the edibles is tricky because if you're making them at home yourself, the dosage is not going to be consistent. But when it's commercially produced, there are strict guidelines on dosing for each serving. So I think there's a little bit less risk in consuming a commercially produced edible rather than something that people are making at home themselves.
Right. And for me, CBD, actually, it's been around for years in treating certain illnesses. And I think it's just a matter of me wrapping my head around the THC side of things and removing that stigma that we've had or what was embedded in me
Yeah, I
over
think
the years and getting
interesting
used to. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they've split off the compounds because they clearly know their target markets, right? You know, there's people that are not interested in the psychotropic effects of THC, but
Exactly.
the CBD is the calming effect of marijuana, and so we've heard from people saying that it has done a lot for their anxiety, for PTSD, that kind of thing. But then you have the people that. Same way that you might go out to the bar and have a fun night with alcohol, people are looking for just that recreational side of the THC beverage. So they've obviously split it off, and they're catering to two different markets.
Do you think we're overdoing it now with the CBD and the THC?
Yeah, you do hear it a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of products on the shelves, things that don't really seem like they need to have CBD in it. But I think it's just that it's such a new product. Everyone wants to try it out and report on it, and it's just got a lot of buzz going on it right now.
But the problem I think I'm having now with CBD, and it's not so much with CBD, it's how we're all treating it. Because everyone suddenly has a condition that they're treating with CBD.
It is being treated as a bit of like a cure-all.
Yes.
A lot more research needs to go into it, I think, but you'd hate to see it kind of go the way of snake oil.
Correct. I mean, also, I guess why I'm saying this is because now I'm coming across clothing that's infused with CBD.
Clothing.
There's a bra on the market right now that's infused with CBD.
Yeah,
it's in the fibers. I don't get it. Like, this is where I think
have you ever
now
come
that,
across t-shirts or hats or sun umbrellas that are rated for UV protection?
Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of like a marketer's trick, I think. You know, like yeah, I mean, when's the last time you got burned through your t-shirt?
And that's why I think I'm fearful, like you said, that this is going to go the way of snake oil.
Right, yeah. So, I mean,
because it's being overused.
It's a new product. It's a new market. I think people are just really buzzing about it. And obviously, marketers are going to take advantage of that.
Right. And I believe it really does help people.
Yeah. Again, so we'll definitely see some more research coming out, and I'm sure we'll cover it more here on our Sound Bites segment. But,
okay, enough of me going on about that. Next. Matt,
you're really trying to sell that pun.
You were lightly trying to push me along. It's okay. I got it.
Well, anyway, so wrapping this one up, the Trust Chief Executive Brett Vi says that we've been at this for quite a while now, and we feel very confident and very excited about the THC products that we will be launching. Trust plans to launch 6 cannabis beverage brands, but won't say whether any of those will also feature alcohol. Did you hear anything about the great pasta debate on Twitter in the past few weeks?
No, but please do tell me.
So earlier this month, a user outed their girlfriend for cold boiling her pasta, which was she would add uncooked dried pasta to a cold pot of water and then bring it to a boil. And he kind of got a bit of backlash for mansplaining, and then it kind of kicked off a big debate about the right way to cook your pasta. Mm-hmm. Have you ever cooked your pasta that way, or do you start every time with a boiling pot?
Always with a boiling pot. I have never added it to a pot of cold water and brought it to a boil from there. No.
I mean, it's just something that never really occurred to me as like a way to do that. I mean, I guess it kind of works, but it was interesting because in this debate, many Twitter users obviously were jumping in with their kind of pro tips, I guess. But some big names in chefing and food science also jumped in the ring, including TV food presenter and cookbook author Alton Brown. Mm-hmm. He says that shortcut pastas like farfalle or rigatoni can be added to cold water first and then brought to a boil for a perfect al dente result.
I get that. I don't know. I mean, why try to fix something that's not broken?
Now, you're Italian, so does this offend you personally?
It doesn't
I feel like
offend me.
pasta is like it's got very traditional roots, right? And so
It really does. It really does. And the way you cook it, I mean, even cooking it al dente, you just cook it for less. But to me, it's trying to find a shortcut to something or a solution to a problem where there is no problem.
I mean, it does seem like a little lazy, right? Like instead of, properly, I'm going to be in the kitchen, I'm going to be cooking pasta, focusing on what you're doing. It just kind of seems like someone wants to, throw a bunch of dry pasta in the pot, turn it on to boil and walk away and do something else for a little while.
Right. And in this poor girl's defense, I don't believe she probably knew how to cook pasta, and that's why she did it that way and then gets called out for it. But I just don't see, again, no, look, I'm even speechless. And that's not normal for me.
Well, Alton says that, as a sort of aside, that this really only works for dried pasta. He would never add fresh pasta to a cold pot of water. It just wouldn't get you the results that you're looking for.
No, you'll get paste.
He also recommends removing pasta with a spider instead of draining it over a colander, because that starchy water is great for thickening sauces and reheating pasta.
Absolutely.
I will also admit to not knowing what a spider was offhand. So I Googled it to find out what it was, and I got equal results of the utensil.
Yes.
The wire mesh utensil to scoop things out of a pot of water or oil, and actual spider recipes. For like
That's
cooked
so
tarantula,
wrong.
which
Oh God,
it freaked me right out. I was not
that's
interested
disgusting.
in that.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that because it's probably a delicacy in someone's
Possibly.
culture. I apologize. I take
Not
it
for
back. Not for me.
Not for me.
And I mean, okay, so talking about reheated pasta, I really do need to add this because one of my favorite ways, like no one hangs on to starchy pasta water to reheat their pasta the day after or the day after that. But what you can do, which is freaking awesome, is get yourself a pan, put some olive oil in that, and saute your pasta. So you take it out of the fridge, bring it into pour it into your pan, and saute it with the olive oil.
Okay.
You start getting these little crunchy bits onto the pasta.
Oh yeah.
The sauce kind of melts in, and it's slightly thicker. I mean, if you want to loosen it up, you can add anything from a little filtered water if you want, tap water, whatever it is, just to loosen it up a bit, but you don't need it. It's so good. If you reheat your pasta, I recommend doing it that way.
That's a good idea. I'll have to try that. So the takeaway seems to be that some pastas can do well in a cold water start. You'll definitely get a more consistent result if you add pasta to boiling water each and every time. Apparently with the cold boil, you can get, with different types of pasta, you can get sort of a soggy outside while the interior is still way undercooked. So the consistent result comes from adding pasta to boiling water. Okay,
and my takeaway with that is just don't do it.
It was really interesting to me how passionate people were about how to cook your pasta.
Yeah, they're overcomplicating something that's already straightforward and easy to follow.
Sure.
Next.
And finally, from thekitchen.com, a surprisingly awesome article on cooking better potatoes. I am someone who just kind of use different potatoes interchangeably. Usually just whatever I have on hand. I'll get a 5-pound bag of Yukon Gold this time or a Redskin that time. I've never really paid much attention to it, but thekitchen.com has some great ideas on ways to use different potatoes. So they say that waxy varieties hold their shape the best. So if you're using red or fingerling for salads, chowders, and stews, they'll hold their shape really well. Second, don't rinse off the starch when you want a thicker result. So something like scalloped potatoes or latkes was another one that they suggested, or hash browns.
Right, but
they hold their shape a lot better, and it'll make for a nice thick dish if you don't rinse the starch off when you start.
Okay.
Now, when you do want to rinse the starch off is for something like when you want a really crispy result, like French fries. So that'll give you a nice crisp outside with a nice fluffy inside.
And I got to give one more to add to that one. If you want a nice crisp fry, or potato, even if you're doing roasted potatoes in the oven, and you want that crispy outer and then that nice soft fluffy inside, cut them up leave them soaking in a bowl of cold water, at least for about an hour. But I usually do it overnight.
Okay.
And then when you take them out of the refrigerator, or after an hour, throw them into colander, drain them, rinse them off. And that's where you do rinse that starch off because you want that crispy outer layer. And then you toss it with your seasoning, some olive oil, put on a pan. I guarantee you will get that crispy golden outside and this lovely, like fluffy texture on the inside.
Okay. Yeah, I have read about that. I have to admit, personally, I'm not usually that committed. I'm usually it's Saturday morning. I'm walking down thinking I want bacon, potatoes, and eggs, and
Right.
I guess I just don't think quite that far ahead. But it seems like a lot of work to me to get those crispy potatoes.
Well,
I like
usually
using a
do
cast iron pan and some olive oil.
that's
that
good too.
usually gets it pretty crisp enough for me, anyway.
Yes. Yes. And fingerling potatoes in a cast iron. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. The cast iron pan is my absolute favorite tool in the house.
I think this one was one of my favorite that you had, which was when boiling for mashed potatoes. What's the deal on that one?
Yeah, this one was interesting. In order to avoid a gummy texture from waterlogged potatoes, if you're going to do mashed potatoes, boil them with the skins on and then peel them afterwards.
And the reason why I love this one so much is because I don't know about you, but we were always taught growing up, you peel your potatoes, you cut them up before you boil them for mashed potatoes.
Right.
And this makes sense. I mean, I do it. I do it now. I've always done it. But as a kid growing up, I was told to peel my potatoes. And now I know why I was getting that kind of gummy
Right.
texture.
That's right. So yeah, some interesting tips from thekitchen.com for cooking better potatoes. And that's it. That's all I have for articles today. What's going on? What's new in your kitchen?
What's new in my kitchen? Other than it's fall, I've been really working on a lot of soup recipes.
Yes,
Soup,
it's the perfect time of
stews.
year.
It really is. And the latest one. Frank and I, we're obsessed with roasted chestnuts. I don't know. Do you have roasted chestnuts? Do you eat them?
You know what? I don't know if I've ever had a roasted chestnut.
Matt, please go out, get yourself some chestnuts today and do this. And you will thank me later. I'm going to get a text from you. Guaranteed, I know it. That's how confident I am. Roasted chestnuts, I grew up with this. And we always had them around. And we always made them, especially around holidays. That happened either in the fall, in the winter. Christmas was huge. We always had roasted chestnuts. Some people boil them. But roasting has always been our thing. And Frank and I have been on a mission to figure out and come across one of the best oven roasted chestnuts that we can make. And we just did it. I actually have to give more credit to Frank on this one. And should I share it?
Absolutely, you should.
Okay. So what you do is you get your chestnuts, rinse them. I like to rinse mine off. And then I just, you cut a slit. So on the chestnut, you got a flat side and then you got a round side.
Okay.
On the round side of the chestnut, cut a slit right across. Straight line, using a paring knife, cut across, and do this for every single one. What this does is it allows the steam to release
I see.
as they're roasting so it doesn't explode in your oven, which has happened.
It served for a little more excitement than you want.
Exactly. And if you don't cut one all the way through, it can happen. So you're going to hear that pop and everyone's like looking around, what's going on? And then what you do once you cut that slit is you get a bowl of water, salt it, generously salted with some kosher salt. Toss those chestnuts into the water, give them a little swirl, get them nice and mixed up with with that water, drain them, and then toss them onto a rimmed baking sheet. And then sprinkle again some more kosher salt over top. So that also starts releasing any of the humidity that's in there. So it kind of gives it like that dry steam.
Mm-hmm.
Pop them into the oven. I think the oven we did at, I want to say 400. Pop them into 400 degree Fahrenheit oven. Roast them up for about 20 minutes. Take out the pan, shake it up, pop it back in for 5. And then hit your broiler. And then do 1 more minute on broil. When you take those chestnuts out, pour them into a bowl, cover them with a tea towel so that way the steam kind of gets in and throughout all those shells. And once you peel them, oh my goodness, sweet, soft, I was going to say moist, but a lot of people have a problem with that word. Delicious.
Now, do you serve them with anything in particular? Like, is there something
A
great
glass
that
of
goes
wine
with?
if you'd like.
Okay.
A glass of wine. I usually pour myself a little Pinot, and then I have with chestnuts.
Very nice combo. Well, I'll have to give it a try.
Yeah.
That sounds
yeah.
fantastic.
You can tell I'm passionate about chestnuts.
Are they really aromatic?
They are.
Yeah, it just kind of fills the whole house with the smell of
and it's
chestnuts
just,
roasting over an open fire.
Yeah, honestly, it really does. And it gives you that, it's almost like a warm hug.
I guess if there's songs written about it, it's worth trying, eh?
They really are. They're fantastic. Okay, enough about me. What's going on in your kitchen?
Well, this week I treated myself to a new temp-controlled kettle. It's
Nice.
a really sleek-looking glass kettle. It's got LED lights in it to like indicate the different temperature levels, which I think looks a little kitschy, but whatever.
I'm laughing because all I can think about is the club.
Well, yeah, it's so funny when you're making tea
You're
late
making
at
a
night.
tea.
It's like got all these like all this glowing lights in the corner of your kitchen. So yeah, it's been really awesome. I've had some amazing pots of French press coffee, and I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever actually had a cup of unburnt green tea. I do like green tea, but I always find I have to add something to it to kind of cover up the bitterness, a little bit of sugar or of like agave sweetener or something like that. But I didn't feel like I had to add anything this time because it wasn't burnt. It was light and sweet kind of on its own because it boils you boil the water at a lower temperature. So it's
What temperature? Do you know?
I think it's 170 or so Fahrenheit. And yeah, the kettle just turns itself off when it's ready, and it's got I think about 6 or 7 different settings for different temperatures: white tea versus green tea, coffee, that kind of thing. So,
Does it matter whether it's loose leaf, matcha?
well, yeah, there is a separate matcha green tea setting, but I don't think I've ever actually had matcha, but I just have the Tetley's green tea pouch. So I should go and find myself some higher quality loose leaf tea. I did actually recently, before I got the kettle, unfortunately, finish up a pouch of Lapsang Souchong smoked black tea, and it was amazing.
What?
It was really, really good. So what happens is it's a Chinese tea, and in order to dry the leaves, they smoke it with pine, and so it's got this really, really nice, subtle smoked flavor. Yeah, it's a great winter tea.
Okay, where did you get that? Because I need to try this.
I got it from the Great Canadian Tea Company.
Seriously?
Just delivered off of Amazon. Yeah.
I really want to look into this kettle. I love it. I got myself a Smeg, but it's not temp controlled.
Is that like a whistler, like a stovetop kettle?
No, not a stovetop, electric.
This is what I replaced as a stovetop kettle, and I mean it's I've had it for years. It's just kind of been our go-to kettle, but it was described as a whistler, and it is not. It is a scream like bloody murderer.
No.
Yeah, it freaks out me and the dog and my wife every time I put it on and walk away to go do something else for like 2 minutes, and I come back and it scares the bejesus out of us.
The new one or the old?
The old one. The old one. The new, nice, sleek glass kettle just turns off. It brings it to a boil, and then it just shuts it off. And it's very calm and quiet and nice, despite the weird club-like LEDs.
Awesome. Oh, and I almost forgot what's new in my kitchen. I'm putting together a Spotify kitchen mashup playlist.
Oh, yeah? What's going in it?
I have a lot of, because I'm an 80s, early 90s girl. So I have a lot of old school in there because a lot of that just gets me pumped, gets me going, makes me smile.
That's awesome. How can people find it?
Just search Mary Mamalidi, all one word, and look for Kitchen Mashup. That's my latest playlist, and I'll be working on some more collaborations with some new playlists and one for the holidays. You know what? I love music. I love cooking with music. So I figured someone else may like the same thing, and we can dance together in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hosting a belated Friends Thanksgiving this weekend, so I'll crank the tunes while we get dinner prepped.
All right, Matt, I think people have listened to us long enough.
For far too long, in fact.
Until next time. It's that time. We've reached the end of another show. Be sure to visit kitchenconfession.com for more recipes and foodie finds. I'd like to thank producer and editor Matt Agnew, and I'm Mary Mamalidi. See you at the next episode.